Well, she's got on there, okay.
All right. Hello, everybody. We're going to give it just a couple minutes while you come in to the room. So give us just a few minutes. We're really glad that you're here. You're at the Candidates Forum. And give us just a few minutes. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
All right, let's kick it off. So Dr. Pinkard, why don't you give us our welcome?
Okay, thank you, Emily. Welcome to our GOTV Ventura County Candidates Forum for our Supervisor for the 5th District and later the mayors of Oxnard candidates. We are happy to have you here. We are proud to be able to present this forum for you so that you can be informed and know your candidates and know what their thoughts are, what their platforms are, and what they intend to do if they are elected to this position. So we are happy to have you here, and this is a partnership with the NAACP, and I would like the president of the NAACP, Regina Crawford, to give you a welcome as well.
Welcome, everyone. This is the second day, and so far it's been wonderful watching all the candidates and listening to everything. And so I'm really looking forward. And this is one of many events that hopefully GOTV will be doing because awareness is important and being informed is definitely important, and especially everyone knowing that important this election year is going to be. So it's important for you to get out there and get out the vote. So welcome everybody, and look forward to hearing to all the candidates. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
I would now like to introduce to you our moderator, who is no stranger to most people in the county. His name is Mr. James Joyce III. He's the founder and creator of Coffee with a Black Guy. And that comes on, he is on air at least once a month, but I think it's now once a week. I'm not really sure. He can tell you, but he's a journalist by trade, and he has been a field rep for the state assembly, a field representative communications coordinator for the state assembly, a deputy district director for the state assembly, and a district director for the state assembly. He has been honored with the Quill and Scroll Journalist Excellence Award. So not only is he a good speaker, a man who is very knowledgeable, but he is also an excellent writer. It is my proud honor to have you meet our moderator for tonight, Mr. James Joyce III.
Wow, thank you, Dr. Pinkard. I'm gonna start taking you everywhere I go. Thank you. A pleasure to be here to be your moderator tonight. As you heard, my name is James Joyce III, and for the past 8 years, I've worked for your state senator, Hannah Beth Jackson, and her district leadership. Last night, we started our candidates forum with a forum for our congressional, Senate, and Assembly districts. We didn't have quite enough time to fit everyone in, and so we have a candidate for the 37th Assembly District that's going to be here with us this evening. So it's an extra bonus for those of you who came for the supervisorial conversation as well as the Oxnard mayoral one. And so we have for the 37th Assembly District, the current office holder is Assembly Member Monique Limon. You heard her last night. She is currently running for the 19th Senate District seat. But those who are vying for her position to replace her are Republican Charles Cole and Democrat Supervisor Steve Bennett. Supervisor Bennett is here with us this evening, and before we give the reins and microphone over to him, I just want to give you a quick overview of geographically where the 37th Assembly District is. And so it's much of Santa Barbara County up to about Lompoc area, but in Ventura County it includes the cities of Fillmore, Ojai, Oxnard, Santa Paula, and Ventura. Without further ado, let's welcome Supervisor Steve Bennett, a candidate for the 37th Assembly District.
All
Thank you
right,
very,
go ahead.
thank you very much, James. I appreciate that. And to Dr. Pinkert and to Mr. Gina, I want to say thank you for organizing this on behalf of the NAACP and giving all of the candidates this opportunity to meet with the audience that is particularly interested in part of the community that's very important to us, and particularly now with everything that's happened since the Floyd murder. I want to use my 4 minutes to quickly summarize why I'm running for this seat and then try to address a few particular issues. One, I am termed out as a Ventura County Supervisor, but for the last 20 years, I've really been proud of the work that we've been able to do on the Board of Supervisors. My overall goal is just simply to do good government. Try to look at the hard problems, figure out what is the right solution, and then go out and politically convince the public that this is the right solution. And because we did that, we were able to bring fiscal integrity back to Ventura County when it had lost its way. Now Ventura County is in good shape in terms of finances. And I want to take that same kind of approach up to California state government. And there are many issues in state government that really need a hard look and a fresh look and some creative ideas. Climate change is a huge problem for us. And the focus that I'm going to have on climate change will be particularly on trying to increase the storage capacity for our clean, renewable fuels. We can't go to 100% renewable energy unless we come up with some way to have energy when the sun's not shining and the wind's not blowing. And so we need storage capacity. I also want to be very focused on things like microgrids and things that give us better backups when emergencies come and hit our power supply. Moving from that, I am very concerned about the growing impacts on people trapped in the bottom with this income inequality that just keeps expanding and expanding. And the difference between the top and the bottom gets farther and further apart. That's not good for America. It's not good for California. It's not good for the people in Ventura County and Santa Barbara County. So we need to make sure we get affordable housing and good medical care and good education for their children to these people that are working hard and trapped in the bottom and can't pull themselves out of that. The final thing I want to address in this is that we have a real need for criminal justice reform and real need for the reform, particularly of the cultures in police departments. And I feel like I'm particularly qualified to do that. I've been talking about this early, way before we had the incident that has gotten all of us inflamed with the Floyd murder. And so that's going to be a particular passion of mine when I'm up in Sacramento, and that is to try to make sure that we have good common sense reform and we get professionalism from the police departments that we have out there. We have many people that I think are on board for those kind of changes, both inside the departments and outside, but we really need to be creative and we need to be intense about trying to bring about really good change in the culture of police departments. So with that, I say thank you very much, and I look forward to the rest of the presentation this evening.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And you were right on time. Look at that. Indeed, indeed. And so now what I'll do is give you kind of an overview of what the rest of the evening is going to look like. So we have the candidates for the 5th Supervisorial District, which is the Oxnard communities mostly, but more specifically including Oxnard Shores, Mandalay Bay, Silver Strand, Hollywood Beach, Hollywood by the Sea, Channel Islands Harbor, El Rio, Nyland Acres, Del Norte, Oxnard College, Oxnard Plains, Strickland, and a portion of the Ventura County Naval Base, Port Hueneme. The current office holder for the 5th District is Supervisor John Zaragoza, who is in a similar position as Supervisor Bennett and terming out. And you'll hear from him a little later what his future plans are. But we have our candidates for the 5th Supervisorial District, Mayor Pro Tem Carmen Ramirez and current Oxnard Mayor Tim Flynn. We'll go ahead and get started with Carmen to be able to provide us with a 3-minute intro, and then we'll go into a few question and answers for each of the candidates to have 2 minutes to respond to each of the questions. And then at the end of the questions, the candidates will have a minute to close out before we move on to our next section. Without further ado, please let me introduce Carmen Ramirez.
Good evening, and thank you for this great opportunity to talk to voters and community members. And I think there are probably people watching who can't vote, like some of our younger people. Again, I am now currently the Mayor Pro Tem. I've been on City Council for a while, and it is time for me to move up to bring my initiatives that I've raised at our city to the county level. My background is I'm a lawyer, I'm a legal aid attorney. I started at the Legal Aid Foundation of Ventura County in the Colonia. It was quite the dream job for my life to become an attorney, and I was grateful for the opportunities that I had because of the civil rights movement, because of the Equal Opportunity Program at Loyola Law School where I attended. And it was, I always say, it wasn't just a dream, it was a total fantasy for me to become a lawyer. And I have devoted my career to representing people who did not have other recourses. At the same time, we know that government is supposed to be protecting people. The majority generally don't need protection because they can get what they want. They have the power, the influence. It's the people, as Supervisor Bennett said, who are at the bottom, who are, I would say, backbone of our country, doing the essential work. And I'm very proud to say I have the support, the endorsement of many essential worker organizations, including the United Farm Workers, Dolores Huerta, who is the co-founder of the United Farm Workers, United Food and Commercial Workers, the grocery clerks who are now essential workers and are endangered by the COVID and have to be there to make sure we have food on our table, just like our farm workers. I'm also endorsed by the California Nurses Association because they recognize my philosophy is every decision I would make as a county supervisor, as I have done at City Council, is to promote the health of our people and the health of our planet. It hasn't always been easy, but I've been so fortunate to have been elected several times to council. I want to tell you, I've never missed one meeting in 10 years. I've taken advantage of every opportunity to get involved in county associated and regional organizations like the Ventura County Air Pollution Control District, the Ventura County Animal Services. I chaired last year the Economic Development Collaborative that serves our businesses in the county, and the cities are participants in that, promoting modernization of their businesses with business training and webinars, and they're doing that even today as people are struggling to recover from the pandemic. That is what is on my mind now. How do we, I'm gonna steal a phrase here, build back better? With the pandemic, many people have lost their income, they've lost their health insurance, and they have invested in their business and they're afraid they're not gonna be reopening. So I think that's our #1 task, to get our economy back and to be safe, because without your health, you have nothing. So we have a lot of work on our plate. The county's been doing a terrific job supporting a lot of that, but we have a ways to go. And I wanna be there to bring my lens that I look at things. Is this good for the people? Will this promote our economy to the county level? I've been involved in many community organizations, including Career Economic Development, which builds farm worker and senior housing and other kinds of housing, as well as our cultural groups like Teatro de las Americas, I was on the Ventura County Community Foundation. I've never lost an opportunity to get involved in community activities, to support cultural activities, social services, civil rights organizations, and I want to continue doing that. I am here to serve the people.
Thank you so much for that welcome. Mayor Flynn?
Thank you very much. And I'll start this forum off by saying I have a great deal of admiration for my opponent in this race, Mayor Pro Tem Linares. We've worked very closely together on the Oxnard City Council, and today Oxnard's a better place because of the team approach that both she and I have taken to solving some of the more complex problems in the city of Oxnard. So as mayor and as a candidate for county supervisor, I see there's a convergence of social equity issues that have come about because of the George Floyd matter, the pandemic where many people have lost their jobs, and the struggle, especially right here in the city of Oxnard, for people that are just barely making it. And what that is upward social mobility or the lack thereof. And where I think I present a great background and a great alternative in this race is my experience at focusing on the economy and on particular in jobs. And so as a candidate for Ventura County Supervisor, given the pandemic, given the George Floyd matter and the issues that we face, not only in Ventura County, but across this great nation, is in essence rebuilding the economy and specifically rebuilding Oxnard's economy, revitalizing neighborhoods in particular and reinvesting in people. And that is the basis of my campaign. So the priority number one is to return many people back to work. And I've been working on that as mayor of the city of Oxnard. But in specifics, and I think this is important because it's one thing, I don't make promises as a candidate, I set goals. And I've set goals to recruit higher paying jobs for the city of Oxnard. And I'm happy to announce that within 2.5 weeks, the city is going to announce a major employer coming to the city of Oxnard, offering wages that for many people are higher wages and benefits, which are very important, as we know, health benefits in particular. And so what we did is I led an effort to recruit Amazon's second headquarters for Oxnard and for Ventura County. And although we didn't succeed at attracting Amazon and their second headquarters by developing an eye-catching proposal, we showcased our assets. And because of that, we have, again, in 2.5 weeks, a major announcement on jobs coming to Ventura, to Oxnard. But this needs to be replicated all throughout the county of Ventura. And traditionally, county government hasn't really had a specific focus on economic development. And in my knowledge, one of the very first times it's had an economic development program is only since 2017. I want to implement that great strategic plan that the county came up with in 2017. So as a former high school teacher, I believe in investing in particular in the youth. And when we're talking about social equity, we're talking about upward social mobility. That's what we're talking about. And for that reason, I dedicated, like Supervisor Bennett, I've dedicated 25 years of my life as an educator, empowering students and empowering especially students in a heavily populated minority community to find the right avenues for jobs and for success. Employers tell me in particular that they're looking for soft skills. I really focused on that as a teacher. How do you present? What kind of manners do you have to have? And speaking talents, and as well as being a motivated person. And this is what I instilled in my students. And so I want to take that experience, work with the community colleges. I've been a community college teacher for 20 years, political science, and a high school teacher, as I said, for 25 years. I want to take that experience and I want to be able to provide that investment in people. And then when we talk about investing in people, I think the county's adopted an amazing program called the ASSIST program. And in particular, it targets people that are mentally ill or suffer from mental illness to try to help them, in particular for those that are homeless, get off the streets. I want to be a very strong advocate of that program, and I want to expand that program. And finally, as a candidate for Ventura County Supervisor, I'm well aware of the conditions in certain neighborhoods in the city of Oxnard. I've spent specific time and focus on the South Winds neighborhood. arguably one of the poorest neighborhoods in the county of Ventura, doing things about substandard housing. And one of my #1 legislative accomplishments is the Safe Homes, Safe Families program. But we need to continue to revitalize these neighborhoods. The county of Ventura plays a vital role in that. And in closing, I just want to say, I want to thank the NAACP. I want to thank this opportunity to be able to air our viewpoints about what we want to see done in the county of Ventura. And so for me, it's about rebuilding Oxnard's economy. It's about investing in people and revitalizing Oxnard's neighborhoods. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you for that, for each of you candidates. And with that, we did touch on some of the things that are included on some of the questions that have been submitted by members of the NAACP, as well as GOTV Ventura County. But without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into the first question. It gives you an opportunity to kind of frame what you feel is most important. And so the question is, what are 3 major areas that you will make your focus that previous supervisors have not or did not complete fully?
Starting with me.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
All right. Well, one of the things clearly that we have to do is to look at what's happening to Channel Islands Harbor. Channel Islands Harbor has been stuck in this deadlock between the county and the city. And I'm hoping, and I know that we can get to yes, if we get the right people in place. So we listen to our residents who live there, pay taxes there, and have to really have a stake in what is presented. And with all due respect to current supervisors, we have had to go to the Coastal Commission to ask them to respect the city's jurisdiction, which is actually respect the people of Oxnard's jurisdiction over what happens there. And yes, we've got to have a robust plan to bring back the tourists there. That is one of the main jewels of the city of Oxnard. The other things I would say is I think it's really important to give business support. We have many businesses in our city of Oxnard who do not even have a computer. Small businesses, which is the backbone of our city, need assistance. The city's been doing some of that. The county has now put in some money, but people still need assistance. These businesses need assistance. And the other thing is mental health. The county controls the mental health, behavioral health system. There has been some inequity in services for our Oxnard community, maybe because people are mostly who need it are Spanish speaking. And right now, especially during the pandemic, people are sometimes despairing of what they can do. We need to lift them up, provide the services they need, and get them back to work when we can do it safely. And also, we need to support our businesses that are open. Our restaurants are open. They're providing food and meals safely. They're also delivering meals to our seniors through the Great Plates program. So a lot of great things are happening, but we've really got to see these challenges coming, like disasters that might come, an earthquake. We've already had our fires. At the Economic Development Collaborative, we work through providing disaster assistance to those affected by the Thomas Fire. And we need to be ready in case there are more. And we certainly are in an economic disaster now. So I'd say those 3 things.
Wonderful. Thank you. Mayor Flynn?
Yes, thank you very much. Well, I want to tell everybody I did not get these questions in advance, but when James, when you asked the question, what are the 3 things you'd like to do? It really strikes at my theme about rebuilding, reinvesting, and revitalizing. But I want to start by saying there's something very awkward from my perspective about county government. And one of the ironies about that is that 4 out of the 5 county supervisors that are presently serving on the board all come from local government, and the 5th served on a school board. I find personally that, and it's not an indictment of the individuals, it's more perhaps the system, and that is that county government, from my perspective, couldn't be any more removed on some levels from the people that they serve. And one of the one of the main benefits of having worked now for 14 years, it'll be 14 years in December, in city government, is that constant day-to-day direct contact with the people that you're serving. But I think that, most importantly, when I was elected mayor in 2012, 2 weeks after being elected mayor of the city of Oxnard, I had a meeting with the county and then the then harbor director. So my experience at working on the harbor related and Channel Islands issues goes back at the very inception of being elected as mayor of the city of Oxnard. And what I wanted and what I still desire, and that will go the other way around if I'm lucky enough to serve as your next county supervisor, is a collaborative partnership between the county, the city, and the people that we commonly represent. And that's what's been absent. And I'm not assigning blame to anyone. The county, it's true that the county has been the landlord of Channel Islands Harbor and Fisherman's Wharf in particular. But very early on, I started the Channel Islands Harbor Task Force. So I've been involved in this throughout the very beginning, from the very inception of my tenure as Oxnard mayor. And we addressed issues like the Harbor Patrol. We addressed issues like Fisherman's Wharf. We addressed issues like a services agreement between the county and the city and who was going to share in those costs. So I'm uniquely qualified as a candidate for supervisor to continue that. And I've seen now from the city side what I feel is deficient on the county side. And I'd like to be able to address that deficiency as the next county supervisor. But most importantly, too, when we're talking about what has been absent from representative government, has been a specific focus on jobs and on economic development. And I want to say right now that the current supervisors, and especially Supervisor Bennett, who's here, have been good stewards of good government and of environmental programs and environmental goals and objectives that I think need to be balanced with the future of this economy. And clean jobs and clean growth and clean industries are a great thing, but we have to be able to transition from fossil fuels to alternative energy. But Ventura County being the third largest fossil fuel producer in the state of California, it's not going to be easy without getting adequate training for those that are currently working in the fossil fuel industry. As an example, getting them to transition to clean energy jobs. So I'm an advocate, again, of rebuilding this economy, and specifically, I have a track record now, we'll see in 2.5 weeks, of delivering higher paying jobs. I believe in revitalizing neighborhoods and finally reinvesting in people. And specifically, I'm very focused on the youth of the Oxnard community and El Rio and the areas of the 5th District.
Great, thank you so much for that response. Thank you so much for that response. Let's go ahead and move on to our second question. Although we do have slated for 3 questions, given the flexibility of the things that we have this evening, we very well may be able to get to a few more topics than that. But just a reminder that the responses, if we can try to keep those to about 2 minutes each to be able to help us move through the evening. The second question is, many residents feel that, that employment announcements reading Spanish preferred or Español preferido gives some residents an advantage or guarantees some people jobs over much more qualified individuals who do not speak Spanish. In most countries, everyone speaks 2 languages, at least. If Spanish is such an important skill, what is your opinion regarding making Spanish a required subject / skill beginning in elementary school?
My turn?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Well, I do speak Spanish. I think it's important for my job. It always has been important for my job to be able to speak to my clients in their native tongue. I'm from a Mexican-American family. My father spoke Spanish, but my mother did not. She was not Mexican. And I find it just a gift to speak another language. And I hope that people do appreciate people who speak other languages, whether it's Spanish, Chinese, French, whatever. This is something that is considered part of being educated in other countries, that you don't just speak one language. So in our city, it is important that we can communicate with, we have about 1/3 of the people who do not speak English, and we have to provide services to them. I did initiate the first ordinance that my colleagues did agree on, most of my colleagues, but I don't believe the mayor did approve, of translating our meetings into Spanish so that the folks that were there could participate, understand what's going on especially when we're making decisions about their tax dollars, that they are all contributing. So I do think it's important. I don't think anybody should be discriminated against because they speak another language. I think it is a bonus many times, but I do think that sometimes people feel like they're left out, and that is unfortunate. We have to understand where people are coming from, that they might feel, hey, I don't have a shot at it because I don't speak this or I don't speak that. On the other hand, sometimes people who speak Spanish feel that they don't have a shot. Let's try to understand each other.
Thank you.
I'm always waiting for the invitation. I don't know if I should just start right away or.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Feel free to dive in.
Well, I appreciate what Mayor Pro Tem had to say, and I think indeed, I think anytime somebody is bilingual or trilingual and they speak more than one language, it's simply an advantage. But I really want to talk about that specifically. I was the only member of the Oxnard City Council to vote against the translation of meetings, and I did that not as a mayor, not as a government expert. I did that as a foreign language teacher. So I am bilingual in German out of all languages. And I find that in the 15 years that I taught German, that one of the best ways for a person to actually learn a language is that they have to hear the language spoken in the native tongue and they see subtitles in their native language. And that was the only difference that Mayor Pro Tem and I had on this subject of translations. But I'll tell you, as a teacher, as a 25-year high school teacher, it was very helpful to be able to call parents on the phone and be able to have a conversation with them about the fact that their children were not doing their homework, tarea. They were not doing their homework, and I could do that. I had to learn that skill because so many of the kids that I was teaching, their parents only spoke Spanish. And so my goal is to perfect my proficiency of Spanish. I'm proficient in one foreign language. In fact, I was a teacher of German for 15 years. And I even taught German at a BMW facility here in South Oxnard and in Thousand Oaks, California, at another BMW research and design facility. But I want to take my foreign language talent to the next step. I'm going to do something very similar to what my dad did. When my dad inherited more areas that are Spanish speaking, he decided to spend 1 month a year in Mexico acquiring the Spanish language. And you know, foreign languages, my mother, I received my talent in foreign languages more from my mom than my dad. My dad really had to struggle to learn a foreign language, but you know something, he stuck to it, and I'm very proud of what he was able to accomplish. He basically became fluent in the Spanish language. I want to do the same, and I think it's only advantage for people, no matter where they are and where they're from, that when they come to a foreign country, that they learn the language, because that's where upward social mobility comes from, is proficiency in the language. And that's why I speak a second language and why I want to learn and be proficient in more than another language than English.
Great. Thank you so much for that response. We do have some audience questions that are coming into the chat, and those who are watching, if you have the Q&A feature, if you're able to add anything on there, that would be helpful as well. The question that is in the chat, we do have a question that's framed around that later on here. So we'll just go ahead and dive in with our next question, and then we'll come back to that. Police brutality remains a major concern nationwide, but is particularly pronounced in the Black, African American, and people of color. Here in Ventura County, some cities have a better relationship with police than others. What solutions or suggestions do you have to improve relationships between the community and law enforcement? And to clear up any confusion, let's go ahead and let Mayor Flynn start off with this one.
I think this is an excellent question, and I'm glad that James talked about the fact that some police departments in Ventura County, there are 10 cities in Ventura County, that some police departments have a much better, I'll just say, a relationship, a rapport with the members of the community that they represent. And one of the great things about the city of Oxnard is exactly what America is all about. It's about diversity. Oxnard is the most diverse community in Ventura County, and it goes well beyond African Americans, Hispanics, and Asian Americans. I mean, just about every major ethnic group is represented in the city of Oxnard. And it's especially important that law enforcement and the leadership of law enforcement and those individuals that support law enforcement, like a city council, that they have a rapport with the members of the community that they serve. We have a police chief today that I would say is one of the best police chiefs anywhere in the United States of America, Scott Whitney. And it's because of Scott Whitney growing up in Oxnard. It's because he went to Oxnard schools that he's especially in tune with relationship building and forming relationships with everybody in the community. And one of the reasons I assert that with the demonstrations that took place after the brutal murder of George Floyd in the city of Oxnard, why there was not violence in the city of Oxnard. There was no violence in Oxnard. And the reason why there was no violence is I attribute that to the leadership of the Oxnard Police Department, Scott Whitney, and also I don't want to take away from the leadership of the city council and the city government as a whole. So it's extremely important. It's about communication. It's about relationship building. And I certainly want to take that too, and that experience to the Board of Supervisors.
Great, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you for this question. You know, I was very proud that our city that came out with a emergency declaration declaring racism an emergency, a health crisis. Racism is a health crisis because people's lives are endangered by racism. And sadly, we have to hear about it every day when we turn the news on. It's way before George Floyd, Trayvon Martin. The children have been killed without a second thought in other cities. And I want to say, yes, I think our police department is doing a great job. I think we have a great chief. I appreciate that we have hired lots of local folks who reflect the community, but I don't think we are out of the woods yet. And I really, really respect our chief of police, but I was at a forum where he actually said, and he acknowledged, he did not know what institutional racism was. And sadly, that is something we have to address at every level of government. We have to examine what we're doing and what we're not doing, and not just rest on our laurels and say, well, everything's good. We have had our situations in our city. We've lived through some horrible incidents. We could say they were accidents, but they shouldn't have happened, and people suffered for that. And I want us to really address that. Other cities will say, quote unquote, all lives matter. I find that to be an insult to what people have gone through, who are terrified of letting their Black sons be out in public at night and understand that they might be arrested. I saw a presentation today called Arrested Mobility. Black folks in other places, and I hope not in our city anytime recently, can't go about normal lives, can't go to a park, can't take their kids to the mall without fearing. The fear is real, and we need to address it so that these horrible incidents stop happening. Other cities may not have addressed it. I want our city to address it. I want our county to address it and deal with what is systemic. And then we all have to be not just working on that, we have to individually, all of us, be anti-racist. Speak up. Personally, I have represented African-American clients and students who've been discriminated against. I want to recommend this book to you, Strategies of Segregation, about the historic restrictive covenants in our city and elsewhere. In Oxnard, we actually had a de jure segregated school system. Some of our elementary schools are named after racists, and that has got to change. We've got to understand the history here so we can correct it, make amends, heal the wounds, and have everybody thrive and not be fearful of just being in public. So I'll just leave it there. We have a lot of work to do, and I'm going to do that work.
Wonderful, thank you. we will touch on some of those in our final question, but let's go to our fourth question here now. Affordable housing. It's an issue both locally and statewide, and currently landlords, both big and small, have been forced to take the responsibility for housing and are bearing the brunt of housing residents. That without many renters paying rent for the most of 2020. What do you say to small mom and pop landlords who are losing their retirement income and properties because of the COVID-caused situation? What are your plans for affordable housing that are within the scope of the county?
Who will you call on first?
Let's go with the same order that we had just switched to. So let's have Mayor Pro Tem start, or Mayor Flynn start with that. Sorry about that.
Yes, let me address affordable housing first and foremost. So the city of Oxnard, out of the 10 cities of Ventura County, is a leader in providing workforce housing and affordable housing for its residents. We have approximately 55,000 residential units in the city of Oxnard. And of those 55,000, approximately 10% are affordable units. There's no other city in the county that has that record. And the remark about we're relying on, and I know it's a little bit confusing, but 1,800 approximately, or 1,850 of those 5,500 units are Section 8 vouchers. So it's not all just actual housing that's been produced, it's also vouchers that provide affordable housing for those residents that can least afford it. Let's talk about small mom and pop shops. You know, we don't want people on the streets. We don't want families being evicted. That makes sense. Who for goodness sake, is going to say, no, if they can't afford to pay, then they're just going to have to be like everybody else. We need to push these families out on the street. That's absolutely unacceptable. But the fact of the matter is that if government is going to pass laws, as there have been, which do not allow evictions, then government better step up and provide the remaining amount of money that is owed to these landlords. You know, and a lot of these stays on evictions, it's basically saying that the tenants are still obligated to pay their rent. But what happens if those tenants don't pay their rent and many of those mom and pop shops, mom and pop operations go out of business? That's absolutely unacceptable. So really, that's probably an example, somewhat, you could call it an unfunded mandate, that you're mandating on the one hand that, and have a stay of evictions, but on the other hand, you've got to make sure, and I know the county has done this in large part too by providing rental assistance, you've got to make sure that you're protecting the average person, and I would say on every level, landlords who are bearing also a brunt of this crisis. And I want to end by saying it's not just about affordable housing, ladies and gentlemen. It's about safe, clean, and decent housing. And one of my top legislative accomplishments as a city councilman, once again, is the Safe Homes, Safe Families program. It targets specifically those unsafe living conditions that have been a mission of mine from the very beginning I was elected to the city council. And I want to make sure that I not only see that through as mayor, but if I'm lucky and I'm elected as your next Ventura County Supervisor, working more closely with the city to make sure that this unsafe and in particular overcrowded housing is eliminated.
Great, thank you. Mayor Pro Tem?
I have worked on affordable housing for decades, representing tenants, though I do recognize that many smaller landlords are saddled with the possibility of losing their investment and even their homes because tenants can't pay. Tenants don't have income, they can't pay. There's been a little bit of relief for that. They still have to pay some, but what the fear is that people are going to be forced to the street. So many people are already living in overcrowded situations. I've been to their homes. I've been to homes where one family is living in every room of the house, and this continues to get worse. So I have supported every affordable housing, every actual housing project that's come to the city. We need to do more. We need to provide all kinds of options. Home ownership is the best if people can afford it, but they're going to need good jobs. And speaking of good jobs, the jobs that I've been pushing for that are coming to Oxnard are going to have benefits for their employees. And I'm pushing that they hire Oxnard residents first. and that they have benefits and that they treat their employees well. I don't want to mention any names, but some employers do not treat their employees well. And we must have good working conditions, good benefits, and people not being abused. I supported the auxiliary dwelling unit proposal that is now an ordinance in our city, so the actual homeowner can build a granny flat to put granny there, or auntie, or the family, or also rent it out, because we are in desperate need of more housing in the right place. The only housing I did not support was exclusive luxury apartments at Fisherman's Wharf, not one single unit of affordable housing, and that's unacceptable. So we need to keep people in their homes. We need to support our smaller landlords. The county has provided funding for some of that. It's really not enough. We do need the federal government to step in and pass that HEROES Act, which will support cities and counties, but as well support people like our smaller landlords who are at risk of losing everything. I feel for them.
Wonderful. Thank you for those responses. Let me use some moderator liberties here and do a bit of a mashup between what we have submitted and what came in the chat. And let me just go to the question of, do Black lives matter or do all lives matter? What is the difference, and what have you done to address the plight of the Black people in Oxnard area? Please give specifics.
Who would you like first?
Let's go with Mayor Pro Tem Ramirez.
Well, just more recently, I supported a Black Lives Matter insertion into the resolution declaring racism a health crisis. And I don't go with this all lives matter statement, because I find it insulting to the people who have suffered since this country was founded on slavery. Let's just deal with history. That is our history of our country. Yes, we've been trying to overcome it. We had the Civil War, been trying to overcome it, but people are still living with the legacy of that, and the legacy of poverty that, as I mentioned, that book really deals with poverty in our city and restrictive covenants. What have I done? I have always spoken up for the rights of people to live without discrimination. I've represented people in lawsuits when they have been discriminated against, whether it's in getting their benefits or keeping their housing. And our Black population in the city of Oxnard is not huge, but it is powerful, it's influential. And people have, I've gone to many presentations about racism more recently, but also we support the Martin Luther King Jr. Events in January. We have to keep talking to people about the lessons of the civil rights movement. What I've done personally is try to promote racial understanding, speaking out against things that have happened to people in our city and elsewhere. It's understandable that people are enraged. I'm hoping we get some peace about this, but we're not going to have peace until we have justice.
Wonderful. Thank you. Mayor Flynn.
Thank you very much. You know, injustice to some is an injustice to all. And this debate about all lives matter versus Black lives matter, fact of the matter is that a person can get caught up into the syntax of a sentence or the true meaning of words and absolutely skip the real goal and objective. Either we have issues in this country and in our county and in our city that need to be addressed that have not been sufficiently addressed or not. And that's where the focus needs to be, in my opinion. Not on labels, not on this group versus that group. It has to be on action, actual action, and we need to make steps. You know, there are many attempts that have been made to eradicate racism in the United States of America. Some of those attempts have succeeded, but for far too long, we've left this on the back burner in America. And what we saw, I believe, with the murder of George Floyd is the fact that when you keep kicking the can down the road, you keep postponing, getting to the core root of these problems, these institutional problems. The word institutional racism has been made, but these deeply ingrained problems in this great nation of ours, it's an insult to everyone. We have to get to the point. But I want to end by saying that the greatest equalizer in America is upward social mobility. And yes, it doesn't always specifically address race or ethnicity or religion or sexual preference, whatever that might be. But upward social mobility is the answer and the key to ending and making progress on this legacy in the United States of America of 2 and 3 and 4 different types of societies. Yes, it's true. We're always going to have wealthier people and poor people. There's no question about that. But we have to revisit this. And rather than be pigeonholed saying whose lives matter and whose lives don't matter, it's about action. It's about getting things done. And I believe that the great equalizer in America is education. And that's why I'm a passionate educator. I've been a passionate educator, and I will be a passionate advocate for my constituents if I'm again fortunate to be the next Ventura County Supervisor.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And we did have a question that I wanted to touch on some of the environmental issues, but I think that the one that was dropped into the chat summarizes it much better than I could. And so we'll go with that. How will you address the health impact of oil production on poor communities in Oxnard, and how will you protect their health? We'll let Mayor Pro Tem start with this one.
I have a long record of deindustrializing our coast. It's full of toxic industries, power plants, the Halico Superfund site. I've been working on it before I got on council, continue to work on it. We've made some progress. The Cal Enviro screen shows that people in South Oxnard in particular are really burdened with pollution. And that's something that affects their children, affects their health, affects their life expectancy. Many are farm workers. They are exposed to pesticides. This causes birth defects, I believe, and lifelong health problems. We need to switch as quickly as we can to clean energy. And one of the initiatives I led, and thankfully the council went along with it, is opposing a new power plant fired with gas at Mandalay. And instead, we have the Ventura Clean Energy Storage in El Rio, which has brought great jobs, community benefits, and will replace most of the energy needs that were going to be produced by the Mandalay plant. Our health is at stake with the climate crisis. So it's not just the pollution burden on the individuals, it is the destruction of our environment. It's the fires that are coming. We're breathing the smoke when we have a fire that is actually can cause lung cancer. So that is why my philosophy is every decision we're going to make is about the health of the people, and not just the people who live in more affluent areas who are not exposed to these toxics, but the people who are essential workers who are having to live in not the best conditions and then having to breathe air that's bad or water that's bad. Luckily, our Oxnard water is good. It's still good. Drink it. You don't need to drink bottled water in plastic bottles. Drink our Oxnard water. So far, it's really very helpful. But this is the crisis of today. Environmental justice started with Martin Luther King when he went with the folks who were working for the refuse. I want to say garbage men. That's an insulting word. The people who were cleaning up after the rest of us, who were asking for dignity in their work. That's environmental justice. And that's what I did, and I was supported by the rest of council, to most of the rest of council, including the mayor, to take our recycling center back from a vendor that was gouging our people, doing more recycling, lifting up those workers who are doing some of the worst, dirtiest work in our city, getting them better wages and better safety conditions. So that is the kind of initiative I will bring to county government. What can we do better for the workers and our community?
Thank you. Mayor Flynn.
Thank you very much. My family came to Ventura County just short of 100 years ago because of oil. My grandfather, and we talk about environmental justice, came home from work every single day and his body was covered with oil because he had to do that work. He did that hard work. And I'm personally very proud. And I wouldn't have the connection with Ventura County if it weren't for the oil industry. But let's face it, we have really important decisions to make at the Board of Supervisors level. That's what this is all about. And we have to find a balance between the environmental record of the county and the county clearly carving out whether it's open space and cleaner air and clean water. We have to find a compromise between those goals and objectives of always placing the public's health and safety first, number one, with the goals of economic development. And it's that economic development plan that the county came up with in 2017. That's where the skill of being a county supervisor, I find, in the specific skills honed in on how do you expand economic opportunity? How do you expand job growth in Ventura County? As an example, we have 5 airports in Ventura County. Do we need an airport that's going to finally provide a commercial service? I argue that we need to. How are we going to balance the economy with the transition that we're going through? We do have a climate crisis. Anyone that denies that I don't know what to say, other than I am all about jobs and job growth, and at the same time protecting the health and safety of our residents and making that transition, implementing that economic development strategic plan that the county has is going to be the real skill of a county supervisor, not just representing Oxnard, but the whole county. And I have the experience to do that. So I'm looking forward to that challenge.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for each of those. Let me get a quick thumbs up or thumbs down from the candidates. Do either of you have a 7 o'clock gig or anything that you have planned at 7? You do? Okay.
We do. We'll come back later.
No. What we were gonna, I was gonna throw in another question, but we'll go ahead and go to the closing statements. The reason for that is because we have the mayoral candidates who are wrapping up another debate on another channel, quote unquote. And so what we'll do is we'll thank you all for the engagement here, and I think that our community is better because of this evening. So thank you both for coming and joining us. And let's go in the same order that we did the introductions. Mayor Pro Tem Carmen Ramirez, providing your one minute closing statement.
Thank you. 1 minute. So much more to say. Please go to my website and my Facebook page, carmenforsupervisor.com. You'll see about all my community activities, my priorities, what I want to do, what I've done. I've been a leader on these issues that are emergency now. Climate crisis is an emergency. Social justice is an emergency. If we can't all thrive, none of us are going to thrive. We have to get there, and needs leadership like mine. I've been working with underserved people for my entire legal career and continue to do so today, even as a practicing attorney and as a council person. I'm responsive. By the way, please fill out your census. mycensus2020.com. We need to get our tax dollars back to serve our people with their essential services that the city and the county provide: healthcare, clean air, clean water, coastal protection, and public safety when we have these disasters. Vote for me, please.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mayor Flynn.
Thank you very much. I really want to thank this organization for the opportunity to be able to exchange ideas. And one of the very first things I did when I had a personal conversation with Mayor Pro Tem Ramirez, when we both decided, and I approached her about running for county supervisor, is I said, first of all, I have a lot of respect for her, and she knows that. And we have a great working relationship, and I believe we'll always have a great working relationship. But one of the very first things I said is, I don't believe in attacking people in campaigns. I think it should be about standing up for the ideas that you believe in. What is it that you believe in? What is going to be your focus? And the way I best characterize that is that Mayor Pro Tem Ramirez has a very strong environmental record. Anybody that denies that doesn't know what they're talking about. She has a very strong environmental record, and she has actually been in the City Council of Oxnard, the social conscience of the City Council. And I believe that as a county supervisor, she'd be specifically focused on trying to bring more county programs to more people. Where we differ, as I see it, is that I have that background of helping people, especially as a teacher, and especially focused on safe homes, safe families, and living conditions. but I am specifically focused on the economy. And that's where I think, and it's not that she hasn't mentioned the economy or that's not a part of her platform. What I'm really about when it comes to running for the Ventura County Board of Supervisors is I'm about economic progress. The County of Ventura has had 5 or 6 years of stagnant economic growth. We have to end this. I have 2 college-age kids right here at home. Their future in Ventura County is in doubt unless this economy turns around and we get those higher paying jobs and we get upward social mobility for all the residents, not just of Oxnard, but all of Ventura County. Thank you very much. And my website, Supervisor.com. Please visit my website. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. Thank you so much to both of the candidates who are vying for the 5th supervisorial district seat, Carmen Ramirez and Tim Flynn. It would be great if all of the offices that we had to vote for on November the 3rd had such qualified candidates, but it seems as if just down ticket is what we'll be dealing with. So thank you so kindly.
Okay.
Without further ado, I think we'll go. I've got a few comments that I want to add in before we head up to the candidates
Well, can I say something to them
for the
first?
mayor. Yes, go ahead.
Okay, I just want to thank the candidates for supervisor for being with us tonight. The GOTV group, Ventura County, which is an African-American group of leaders, organizations, and advocates for change in Oxnard for African Americans. We just wanted to make sure that our population was informed and knew what the thoughts of the candidates were and what their platforms were so they could make educated decisions about who they would vote for. So I want to thank you for being here this evening, and we appreciate the time you took to be with us this evening. Thank you.
And I want to, this is Steve Bennett. I want to say thank you also for letting me be on at the beginning of the program.
You're welcome.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. A quick reminder before we head over to the candidates for Oxnard Mayor. Just a reminder that vote by mail ballots will begin dropping from the county election offices starting October 5th. So that means you should start seeing them in your mailboxes October 6th/7th. And be sure that those ballots are returned no later than 8 p.m. on November 3rd. There's several options to get your ballots in early at various places throughout the county and on election day. And so we'll, towards the end of this engagement here with the mayoral candidates, we'll plug you into some other events that we'll be doing to help you get your ballots completed here before November 3rd as well. So without further ado, I'd like to make sure that I do a quick reminder here for those mayoral candidates who just came in from another engagement. But what we're going to do is we're going to provide an overview of what the seat or what the race is that the candidates are running for. Each candidate will have 3 minutes to provide an introduction. And then we'll go into a few questions and answers, and each candidate will have 2 minutes to respond to the questions. Then we'll do a 1-minute closing as we just did with our supervisorial candidates. So we have 3 candidates who are vying for the Oxnard mayor position, and Oxnard is a city of nearly 21,000 residents. Right, and so the current office holder you just heard from Mayor Tim Flynn, and he's running for the supervisor district. But right now we have an opportunity to hear from the 3 candidates who would like to be your next mayor. We'll go in this order. We'll have candidate Deidre Frank start, Richard Linares go second, and then our 3rd candidate introduction will be with Supervisor John Zaragoza. Ms. Frank.
Thank you. Well, this was a pleasant surprise to get the invitation to your event here. I'm happy to be here. I am Deirdre Frank. I'm an attorney. I've been an attorney for 42 years. My office is currently in Ventura. I was in Oxnard from 1983 to 1996, and then relocated to Ventura after Bud Smith sold the Financial Plaza, and the new landlord wasn't as accommodating. I am a UCLA graduate. My bachelor's degree was from UCLA, my Juris Doctorate from Southwestern University School of Law in downtown Los Angeles. I have experience living in an urban environment And one of the main reasons, if not the reason, I moved to Oxnard. I had an opportunity to work here. I looked around, I liked it. I built a house and I moved here. I was 34 years old and I had a 5-year-old son with me. He's 37 now. He's the only one I have. I live in Oxnard Shores. I have this speaker on here. I live in Oxnard Shores, and I've been a member of the Oxnard Planning Commission since 2005. I served 2.5 terms there and then came off Planning Commission, and I was invited back to assume the commissioner's position again because I do a good job. I'm the only woman on the Planning Commission at this time. Previously, I served with Ms. Pinkard on the Planning Commission, which is where I learned a lot from her. I was chair of the Planning Commission when the Ormond Beach specific plan came through. I was chair and am chair at the last hearing on the Fisherman's Wharf, very contentious. I'm used to dealing with complex matters. My firm handles all personal injury and workers' compensation cases. So I deal with the people who are hurt. I deal with low income. I deal with people who are at their lowest, who are unemployed, they're on disability. We do Social Security disability as well. So I have great empathy for those who are now especially going through these very serious times. I have good leadership skills and I have good vision for what Oxnard can be. Great potential here. We've got a good management team in place and I want to be supportive of that. And since we've got that great attitude and brains in that job, I don't know what this is, my beeping on my audio. Is this better? I don't know. But anyway, it's time to change the regime that's been in Oxnard and put me in a policy-making position so I can be even more effective than I think I already am. Thank you very, very much.
Oop, you're muted, Mr. Linares.
Can someone just clarify the time as we have different events that we've been to? How long do I have to open up with?
Oh, James is muted too. You have 3 minutes to open up with, and then 2 minutes to answer each question, and then 1 minute for your wrap up.
All right.
Thank you, Emily.
All right. Well, first of all, I want to invite Mr. Coffee with the black guy to have some café con leche with the Mexican guy. I don't know why I have not had coffee with him yet, but my name is Richard Edward Linares. I have been in Ventura County now for 10 plus years, in the city of Oxnard now for 10 years. I've been in California actually now going on 17 years. I'll be 18 years old as a Californian. I'm going to be old enough to be able to make adult decisions in California. I'm just here. I'm here. I've been serving the community. I've had the honor to be able to serve the city of Oxnard in different platforms. I worked for one of the greatest nonprofits in Ventura County, which was Interfaith Children and Family Services, for over 8 years. I was also I became a licensed and ordained pastor here in Oxnard, California. I served at Oxnard Central Foursquare Church on the corner of 7th and C. And then for the latter part of my ministry, I served under Dr. David Moore as the associate pastor at Church for the Nations of Foursquare Church. And so my experience is not leadership. My experience is in serving. My experience is in servanthood. And that's where I'm able to get my gifting. That's where I'm able to step up into this position, because I mean, it requires someone to serve. It requires someone with charisma. It requires someone that has a voice. It requires someone that pretty much thinks outside of the box. And so as one of the youngest candidates here in the city of Oxnard, I'm privileged at this honor. You know, I'm an outsider. I'm not from Oxnard. And when I seen that the other individual that was running, and God bless John Zaragoza's heart, because he's old enough to be my father, possibly even my grandfather, and I have nothing for respect from him. But when I seen that that was going to be the only option for the city of Oxnard to have leadership, and I just felt like I didn't feel, it was the Holy Spirit that nudged me. Richard, if you're tired of complaining about what's going on in the city of Oxnard, then do something about it. And so I did my research, and I found out that in the city of, that in the United States, there's two forms of government with regards to mayoral government. It's council strong and mayor strong. And when I found out that it was council strong and that the mayor was a ceremonial position, a chairman of the board, I've been on boards for nonprofits. I've been on board for churches. You know, people say that I'm not politically informed or educated, but church has a lot of politics. If I got any Christians up in here, amen. Come on, somebody. And so politics is in the hood. Politics is in the gangs. Politics is in the workplace. So the fact that people want to discredit Richard Edward Linares because he doesn't have any experience in politics, I have a lot more experience in politics than people think. And so I'm just honored to be here with you guys. Black Lives Matter. I'm so heartbroken about what's going on with Breonna Taylor. And I believe that we have a lot of young voices in this community that are really upset also. And so I'm here with you guys. I'm fighting with you guys. Si se puede. I know our homie Martin Luther King Jr. had a dream, and I believe that we can do it. And so thank you for letting me be here with you guys tonight. And God bless Deidre, because if I don't win, she needs to win, okay? Because we need new blood in the city of Oxnard.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mr. Linares. Mr. Zaragoza.
Yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity to share my experience with the African American community. I want to share with you that I lived in Oxnard my entire life. I was born at VCMC, which is approximately about 7 miles from my house. My wife was born here. I met my wife here. I raised my family here. I'm a third generation Oxnarder and proud of my 50 years of community service with the city of Oxnard and the county of Ventura. From potholes to homelessness, Oxnard has its challenges and also has great potential. As your mayor and leader, I'll provide the leadership needed to move Oxnard towards during these difficult times. Retiring after 30 years as a public employee for the city of Oxnard, I opened a very, very successful real estate business and tax preparation business. I'm proud to say that I've served for 24 years as a policymaker for the city of Oxnard, for those years as Mayor Pro Tem for Dr. Lopez, and also 12 years as a supervisor. However, I love Oxnard, as I mentioned before, and I want to do what is best to provide the happiness and prosperity for the lives of the residents of Oxnard. In 2008, I had the tools and skills needed as a policymaker to make such skills at another level, which I was honored then to become a supervisor for the county of Ventura. My reason for running for mayor is because I care and I love Oxnard, as I mentioned before. I raised my family here, and I'm the strong leader that Oxnard needs. As a leader, I want to bring Oxnard more businesses and improve lifestyle, support and promote our youth recreational programs, and help get jobs, and also senior programs. And also we need to reduce crime rates, increase our budget reserves, which are desperately needed. And we need to continue to work on the environment program for the health and well-being of this community. Although I'm terming out, as mentioned before, my position as county supervisor in 5th District, I am motivated to continue helping our city because there's still much work to be done and a lot of issues that need to be addressed. As I mentioned in other forums, budget is extremely important to me. We have budget issues here in Oxnard. Businesses, we need to work with downtown to promote businesses, large businesses, small businesses. In fact, one of the things I think is important to bring large businesses, so that brings wealth and brings people into the community. As many of you know, I also own a real estate business, a tax business. I'm a real estate broker and also a tax preparer. And I had my business for decades. So I know the difference between running a public and private business, which is, I think, extremely important. And I want to share with you that I've been working all my life. Since I was 10 years old, I have never, ever been unemployed. So I know what it is to work hard. Homeless issues are really important. We worked on homeless issues. In fact, on the Board of Supervisors, we budgeted $1.6 million to help the cities of Ventura and the city of Oxnard to provide housing, behavioral health, mental health, social support in order to help unhoused individuals and get them off the street. Youth programs are extremely important to me. I work with the Boys and Girls Club. In fact, over at Island Acres, we opened up a community center for them, and also work alongside club leaders. Also, one thing that I'm working out in the county right now is a CWA, a community work program to train laborers to make sure that our women and men get apprenticeship programs. Seniors are really important to me. We need housing, healthcare, recreation activities, informational workshops, and preventing senior abuse. To me, that's very important. We cannot forget our veterans. My whole family comes from veterans. We need to help our veterans. They're extremely important to all of us, and ensure that our veterans receive the assistance they need, the housing, the jobs, and informational workshops. Infrastructure. I really care about our roads, keeping our mediums, landscaping maintained, removing trash and debris from gateways of the city of Oxnard, entrances to our neighborhoods. That's extremely important. That's basic cleanliness, and eradicating graffiti is important to me.
Thank you, Supervisor.
Excuse me, am I done?
That was your 3-minute section.
Okay. Thank you. And
yeah, we'll dive into some of that stuff in some of these questions. We want to not eat up much of this time because we're going to try to wrap up here in the next 15 to 20 minutes. But we do have some questions that have been submitted by members of the local NAACP as well as GOTV Ventura County. And let's just go ahead and get it kicked off with something that's been mentioned here earlier. Do you think homelessness is a problem in Oxnard? And if so, what is your solution? Let's go ahead and get started with candidate Frank. 2 minutes, please.
We're going to ask you to unmute. There we go. Thank you.
Of course it's a problem. Yes, it's a problem. It's everywhere. I live down at the beach. We have people camping now on the beach, camping in the dunes, lighting fires, human waste all over. It's a major problem. Do I have a solution? No, I don't have a solution. I have ideas to try to reach some solutions. I don't think there is just one solution. I think a lot of this is mental health, and a lot of it is drugs and addiction. And then there are some people that just like it. I have actually 2 friends who like it. So, they think they're free spirits and they don't need any help. So, yeah, Oxnard's moving forward with that. They're getting some grant money from the state, the hotel key program, with the vagabond there on Oxnard Boulevard, that's going to be utilized. And the homeless shelter navigation center, they're calling it, going in on 2nd Street downtown Oxnard should help. But man, we need a lot more than that. And the county, I wish the county had stepped in a little bit more in Oxnard, give us some mental health facilities in downtown, in places where they're needed, but I didn't see that. And the county runs the behavioral health. So I really think we should partner on a much stronger level, and that's going to take money, which, all this comes down to money. And Oxnard's got to get that Measure E passed, or we're just talking, because if there's no funding, nothing's going to happen. The state is stepping up, but we need a lot more than that. And
thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Linares, 2 minutes.
All right. So homelessness is not the issue. The issue is the lack of leadership for over 30 to 40 years that's been able to address this. And so homelessness is simply a byproduct of leadership that has failed to come up with solutions. But not only solutions, there's been many solutions, but the fact that nonprofits have not been able to collaborate and work together. We have nonprofit entities that are in our county that are fighting on a regular basis for grant money and for funding. And when you have that kind of mentality where only one nonprofit is the one that's benefiting from any kind of tax dollars, incentives, or private fundings or church fundings, that is what becomes the issue. And so homelessness is a byproduct of the negative, and the negative, let me breathe here, not the negative, the lack of leadership. I had a conversation with the police officer the other day, and he says, Richard, you know what, we've had things like gang injunctions, but we've never really been able to address homelessness. We've had people present things, but we just never have really been able to deal with it because homelessness is so complex. Homelessness is not just your mentally ill. It's not just your drug addicted. It's your low income, impoverished communities. It's your student community. We have a lot of college students that are homeless. We have a lot of children that are homeless in our streets. And so for me, I think what we need to identify is that homelessness is an issue because City of Oxnard and Ventura County has done a horrible job of addressing this situation to the point to where now we have areas of Oxnard looking like Skid Row. We have Richmond Avenue looking like a baby's, people call it a baby Skid Row already. And so homelessness is not the issue. The lack of leadership and ingenuity, of creativity, of collaboration is the issue. And that's why as a person, John Zaragoza talks about how he's created programs. Well, I've housed homeless people. I've been sued by homeless people. I've been punched by homeless people. I've been threatened by homeless people. I've taken county clients and my house was a victim of a drive-by. Why? Because I took in a county client and this girl had some drama. So I've been in there. And so homelessness is not the issue. The lack of services, the lack of collaboration amongst agencies, county agencies, city agencies, and religious agencies, the lack that they cannot come together to work together and everyone wants to be their own little island, that's the issue. So homelessness is a byproduct of our lack of collaboration, county, city, and even church.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mr. Linares. Mrs. Zaragoza, unmute.
Yeah, thank you so much. As I mentioned earlier in my initial presentation, that we're working on homeless issues. And I want to share with you that we in the county are doing help and funding. We funded $1.6 million between the cities of Oxnard and Ventura. We provided monies for the Armory. We provided monies for the Knoll project there in Ventura, where now we have year-round services that provide housing, mental health, people to help with resumes and so forth. We are doing something, believe it or not. Some of the problems that we have with homeless is mental issues. We have people that unemployed, they're going from house to house, and maybe they need the first and second, and we help those people. People have been evicted, even though there's no eviction notices. Some people have been evicted, which is really, really not right. But we are helping behavioral health issues. We help them, social support. And we also help with unhoused individuals to get them off the street. And I think it's an important issue. This is not just an Oxnard issue. This is a California issue. This is a nationwide issue. It's not just California. Or not just Oxnard, but we are trying our best to help our people here in Oxnard. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, each of the candidates. The next question is, if elected mayor, how do you see your involvement with the school boards to help our community achieve the goal of better education for our youth? We'll keep the same process and placement. So, Ms. Frank.
Okay. We don't have much to do with curriculum in the K through 12. Oxnard College is probably our best opportunity to guide students into a career path, so there's some direction, whether it be through trade or arts or culinary. I know they have a pretty good culinary program there. Apprenticeship programs. This has to be done. Some alternative to K through 12 curriculum. You know, I raised a son highly gifted. You know how difficult that was? It's very difficult. I had to take him out of the Oxnard school district because they told me to, because they said there's nothing they could do for him because he was too smart. So I understand. I understand the challenges here. A lot of this comes from the state and what the required curricula is, but I think bringing more arts and culture into the schools, maybe after school programs. When I was a kid, we had after school, and from 3 to 6, we did programs after school with coaches and teachers. That's why I learned to play chess. It's where I learned to play billiards. It's where I learned how to square dance. I made my first clay piece of pottery in an after-school program. So I don't see any of that. Again, it comes down to money, whether we can afford to put people on the school grounds. The school districts aren't doing it. They don't have the money either. So it's, you know, if we had unlimited funds, this would be easy, but it's not. I think we just need to think beyond the regular curriculum that's being shoved on us.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mr. Linares. And a quick reminder that you do have 2 minutes to make your responses, but do not feel that you need to utilize the whole 2 minutes if you don't need to. Thank you.
Can you clarify who it is that you're requesting about is it the Oxnard School District that you're saying?
So the question is, if elected mayor, how do you see your involvement with the school board to help our community achieve the goal of better education for our youth? So as mayor, what's the relationship?
So I think it needs to be a very strong relationship. I think one of the things, that's one of the main reasons, if you ask me what my main reasons are, the youth and our children, our students are one of the major reasons why I'm running for mayor of the city of Oxnard. Because as an individual that was a troubled youth, as an individual that endured various forms of trauma during elementary school, junior high school, and high school, I always seen the lack of services available. I seen that it was more punitive rather than restorative with regards to addressing problematic children in our school. So I think it's important that the mayor works directly with our schools and builds a form of communication to where we as a city make sure that if we want to address homelessness, and if we want to address drug addiction, and if we want to address mental health issues, we need to do it when they're young. And it's when they're young, it's when working with children, it's in identifying these things when they're young. We need more counselors in our school. We need more therapists in our school. You know, we need more crisis services in our school. So as mayor of the city of Oxnard, I will work as close as I can with them. If anything, they're going to be my best friends, because I believe if we don't prepare the next generation to be the future leaders, then we're going to continue to go in the direction that we've been going in. We need more young leaders. It's sad that I am the youngest person, a 43-year-old individual that's running for the mayor of Oxnard. We need some 20 and 30-year-olds up in here trying to run for mayor of Oxnard. So I'll work closely with them, and that's it. So I don't take all my 2 minutes, okay?
Wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Supervisor.
Thank you for the opportunity. I just want to share, first of all, that the school boards have elected school board members. That's important to understand. And we're elected as council members or as supervisors. But we need to form a partnership, which I think is extremely important. We need to work with the county school boards with stand man-tooth to understand the needs of the schools. We need to assist our youth with apprenticeship programs. One of the things that I mentioned before in the Board of Supervisors the other day, when we have a high school graduate, they graduate one.
Oops, it looks like you muted yourself. I'm so sorry, Mr. Zaragoza.
I'm sorry, I put my hand in there. I got talked about. I'm sorry. Well, like I said before, 1/3 goes to the university, 1/3 goes to the armed forces, and the other third stays out there looking for work. I'm developing right now what I call a CWA in the county of Ventura, a county work enforcement program that helps apprenticeship become plumbers, electricians, workers that really help maintain or bring up their funding level. And also, I think that we need to provide a safer after-school programs, and we also need to work with the Boys and Girls Club because they're affiliated with the school boards. And I think our youth are really, really important. As I mentioned before, when I was with the city, we had our OES program, the Oxnard Youth Employment Program, that helped we work with the school districts, and a lot of those OES individuals that we had, youth, became permanent city employees. But we need to work with our school boards. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. And in an effort to keep us in a timely manner here, we're going to go ahead and wrap up with our last question here before we head into final statements from each of the candidates. But the last question that I'll pose to the candidates for Oxnard Mayor this evening will be a pretty simple one-liner. Do Black lives matter or do all lives matter? What is the difference? Ms. Frank.
They're both right. Hmm.
Can we get you on video? There
There
we
I
are.
am.
She's
Okay.
working on it.
Thank you. They're both right. They're both right. The difference is that there's a special, words are hard to come by on this issue. I feel so strongly about it. There's a special consideration that needs to be given to Black Lives Matter because they're Black. And simply because of that, there's reaction. Not the person, not the being, not the background, not even the environment, not the situation, just the color gets the response. And unfortunately, it's a negative response that's historically cultural, especially in America. You know, I've traveled quite a bit in Africa. I took my son there and he started listening to rap music at 10 years old and told me he wanted to be a Black man living in Compton. He was 10, he told me that. And so we had the discussion about people are angry, young Black men are angry, and that you have to appreciate culture, cultural difference. And I took him to Africa for a month. And it changed his life. So all lives matter, but Black lives have a special matter. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Linares.
All lives will matter when we start realizing the importance of Black Lives Mattering. As a person that served under the leadership of an African-American male named Dr. David Moore, a Black male that grew up in La Colonia for part of his life, and I never really understood it. I was also one of them, like, well, Mexican lives matter too, and we matter too, and gay lives matter, and Black trans lives matter. But when you start to hear the history of the African-American community, you see a lot of us Mexicans, or first-generation Mexicans, we came here because we wanted to pursue a dream. A lot of African Americans, they didn't have that option. A lot of them were brought by force. And so when you look at what's taken place to the my African American brothers and sisters in this country, it is heartbreaking and it is shameful. And I can't understand why people are so self-centered when they're not a Black individual and can't respect the importance of recognizing that Black lives matter. And we're not saying that all lives don't matter, but we're saying that right now in this moment in time when African Americans are disproportionately affected by police brutality, incarceration, Hispanics and African Americans are the majority in jail. You know what, we say that we've ended slavery, but slavery continues to go in our prison system. And so Black lives matter, and I think it's disrespectful, specifically to you, bro, as a person that's asking that question, to even say anything else other than that. Yes, Black lives do matter, and we need to stop being afraid of recognizing it. The word Black doesn't belong to anyone. The word lives doesn't belong to anyone, and the word matter doesn't belong to anyone. It's not trademarked, it's not registered, it's not someone's specific thing, and I think that's what's happening. People keep on fighting over, well, who started it, and who's part of it, and it's part of, you know, the Democrats and this and that, whatever. I'm like, you know, at the end of the day, you guys, I don't care for your arguments. George Floyd didn't have to die like that. Breonna Taylor did not have to die like that. Other individuals in our community they don't have to die like that. They do not have to die at the hands of police officers that need more training and need more education. How many more times do police departments have to address a situation? How much longer does it have to? How many more Mexicans and Blacks have to die for them to continue to say, oh, we're going to have a reform, or we're going to educate our people? In the city of Oxnard, we have police officers that are racist. We have good cops in the city of Oxnard, and we have bad cops in the city of Oxnard. But most importantly, we have immature cops in the city of Oxnard. Just like myself, I'm not tooting my horn that I'm the best candidate for mayor, but I am a good human being, and I want to step up and be here and lead the conversations and be a part of working with our African American brothers and sisters and everybody else, but trans, LGBTQ plus community, everybody. But once again, right now what's happening in America, it's important for us to stay focused, and Black Lives Matter. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Linares. Supervisor Zaragoza.
Yes, thank you so much. You know, Black Lives Matter to me tremendously. I believe that our mothers and fathers should not tell our children how to act and how to behave in front of the police officers. That is extremely important. They need to have equal rights. We all need to sit at the same table and eat the same food and be equally treated as a result of who we are. So I think that's extremely important. And I have the opportunity, and I just want to share a little bit more besides that. I had the opportunity over at the Government Center to work with Regina Hatcher of the NAACP and actually protest in front of hundreds of people there at the Government Center to protect our brothers, our African-American brothers that really, really are important to us. Because I've had the opportunity to work with Juneteenth. I've had the opportunity to work with the Pinker Institute. I had the opportunity to work with internship programs with our African-American children. And right now, Vince Stewart is one of my commissioners over at the County of Ventura. So I believe that we're all equal and all intelligent, all people that need to be treated equally, whether brown, black, or white. And so I believe that equal rights is extremely important. Equal rights in education, housing, rights for women and men and women, especially right now with the African women that are being mistreated. So I think it's important that we protect, and Black Lives matter to me. And as your mayor, I will continue to protect the equal rights for all of us. And that would be my message to all. Thank you.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you so much. And as you heard all of these responses from the candidates, again, it's another opportunity for the community to win because you've got great candidates to choose from, and this is a great platform and an opportunity to engage with the candidates. And so thank each of the candidates for Oxnard Mayor for coming out and engaging with us this evening, as well as all of those who are joining us online. I would be remiss to point out the fact that as we're having this conversation and as we're in the context of Black Lives Matter, several text messages are coming in to my phone directly from Louisville, Kentucky, with some concerns of what's going on the ground there. And so if we can keep the city of Louisville in our thoughts and prayers moving forward, as well as keeping an eye on what the situation is down there.
What's going on?
Thank you. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and allow our candidates to go in the same order that we've been engaging so far to do a 1-minute closing statement, and then we will be concluding with our evening.
Thank you very much. Again, I appreciate the opportunity to be here and to speak with you. I enjoyed sharing the evening. I am Deirdre Frank. I am running for mayor. I have the background, I have the training, I have the experience, I have the desire, and I'm asking for your vote, I'm asking for your support. Give me the opportunity to show you what I can do. Thank you.
Thank you. Resetting my clock here, Mr. Linares.
All right. Well, first of all, thank you guys. Well, lastly, thank you guys so much for having me on here. It is a privilege and honor. I know when I was reached out to by Mrs. Pinkard last week, and then I found out it was the same day. I was like, what am I going to do the same day? So it's just, I'm glad to be here. And in my closing arguments, per se, just thank you guys and let the best candidate win. We don't need a king, we need a servant. We need and I don't know what the future is going to hold, but if we go for another lockdown and these protests continue to happen, we need a leader that's going to be out there. And when we seen what happened the first round, nobody was out there because everybody was afraid of the coronavirus. Nobody was out there in the marches in the city of Oxnard. Nobody was when all this started to happen. We had more complainers that I was out there videotaping on Facebook than people supporting and thanking. I'm so glad that I was out there. I'm so glad that I was out there to see two 17-year-old young women, Latina and African-American, out there in the streets leading one of the major protests that happened in the city of Oxnard. So as we continue to go through the pandemic, and as we continue to go through this turmoil with regards to racism, and as we get ready for what's going to happen on the presidential level, I think we need a leader that's going to be out in the streets, out in the community. My experience might not be as much as John Zaragoza's, but my respect to him. And once again, as we continue to go out here, I love the dude. He's an amazing guy. I've been a master of ceremonies for years out here. And the bro got's what it takes, but I can use him as a mentor, as a mayor, more than a mayor, because he ain't going to listen to me when he's the mayor. But peace out.
Thank you, sir. Supervisor Zaragoza.
Yeah, again, I want to thank the African American community for allowing me to share a couple of words. And James Joyce, I had not seen you for a long time. I want to thank you for the help that you've given me when I called your office. Irene Pinkard, and I also want to thank Regina Crawford for that you've done. This is really, and Brittany, I don't think I know you, but anyway, thank you for being here today. And I want to share that diversity is the strength of Oxnard. Diversity is the strength of our county and our state and our nation. And equality is important to me. I'm very, very happy to work with the African community, African American community, and also with the white community and the Asian community and all of us. Diversity makes us strong, and we're going to be a good city. And I want to be your mayor and the leader for Oxnard. Thank you for your vote.
Wonderful. Again, thank you each to the candidates as well as those who have chimed in with asking questions this evening. This is a very important election that we have coming up, and it's in a specific, well, let me just say it's a weird time, right? We're having to do these kind of engagements not in person, but over Zoom. And so this is an awkward time to be going through an election process, but it's also an opportunity. And so I want us to make sure that we go ahead and see, as the plants fall behind me because they agree, I just want to go ahead and make sure that we see that this is an opportunity for us to engage at a better way in such a format like this, as well as learn some things along the way. And so a quick reminder that vote by mail ballots will begin dropping from the county election offices on October 5th. You should be seeing them in your mailbox on the 6th and 7th. With that in mind, once you get your ballots in hand, we'll be doing several follow-up events. So we'll be having ballot parties via Zoom. We've got 2 of those that just kind of mark your save the date calendar for October 13th and October 15th. We'll be holding ballot parties, and you question, what is a ballot party? Well, in these awkward and weird times, it provides, as I just mentioned, provides an opportunity. So once we get our ballots in hand, just as we've been sitting here engaging tonight, there's nothing, no laws that preclude us from joining together on a Zoom call with our ballots in front of us and going down the ballot as we go. And so not only will we be doing that, but we will be encouraging folks to do that within your families and your own network groups. This is an opportunity. Let's seize it. And so as this is an early step in seizing that opportunity, again, thank you for joining us this evening. It's been a pleasure to serve as the moderator the past 2 nights and learn quite a bit throughout the process. And I hope everyone who has tuned in has also learned some things that will help inform your decision in the upcoming election. Without further ado, I will hand this over to Dr. Pinkard, the woman behind the organizing prowess of this event.
Well, I just want to thank all of the candidates for being here with us and taking the questions and letting the African American community know that you are concerned about what they would like to see or the information that they need to make some qualified and educated decisions. I want to thank James Joyce III for an excellent job of moderating for us this evening. And also I want to thank Emily and her assistant for their wonderful plan for laying this out so that it went smoothly. And I want to let you know that this was recorded and it will be played on our GOTV VC Instagram and Facebook, so people will be able to see it again. We also will be having a ballot instruction party where people will be given instructions on how to fill out their ballot, because a lot of people have never filled out a mail-in ballot before, may not know that they need to sign it. If they have someone else take it in for them, that they need to have them sign it. So we want to make sure everyone gets the information they need to make their vote and voice count. So thank you very much. Regina, would you like to say anything before we close tonight? Unmute yourself.
I think you said it for everyone. Again, get out the vote committee. We thank you. NAACP, thank you, of course. We appreciate everyone taking their time to come in. James, Emily, could have done it without you. Richard, Isidra, Zaragoza, thank you for attending. And again, be mindful to fill out the census and be sure to vote. So look forward to some more events coming up. Thank you all.
And
Thank you
if
much.
should you, anyone on the call, should you be interested in how this process worked out tonight, be sure to go check out Visionality Partners. That's Emily Barony and her team. Visionality Partners is the logistics behind making this happen tonight. And so we'd like to thank them and also make sure that you are aware that they are a local Ventura County business. So wanted to make sure that we snuck that in there as we were leaving. And as Russell Simmons would say, God bless and good night.
Yeah.
Uh,
Make
thank
sure
you.
you use the small businesses.
Thank you.